Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Monday's Next Gen Planners Morning Commute. And it's great to see so many happy, smiley morning faces today. So welcome, everybody. We've got an interesting show today and a couple of new features and guests as well. Phil, what have you been doing over the weekend?
I'd like to say I've been getting out and about, but a short trip to Sainsbury's, and that was about it. I was about as excited as my weekend got, to be honest. We had a games afternoon yesterday afternoon, playing various childhood games.
Very good. What were the queues like at Sainsbury's then? Has it settled down now where you are?
It wasn't too bad, actually. The door was fine. They were getting a bit ratty inside, and some of the customers weren't helping themselves, to be honest. So I got in and got out as quickly as I could.
Excellent. Well, I took a leaf out of Steve Martin's book following our fitness focus on Friday, and I did my 60 minutes of exercise every day. And I actually downloaded, what's it called, that Peloton. That was exciting. I did a Peloton strengthening exercise, which I learned to do a curtsy lunge. So that was a new experience for me. I've never had to do curtsy lunges before. 20 of those things, and you know you've done some exercise. I've got to say that I could barely walk for the rest of Sunday afternoon, but we're all good now. So we'll be hearing from Steve later, actually. Steve's joining us for an interview a little later on. But in the meantime, Dan, you've been having a look at some things that have occurred over the weekend.
I have indeed, yeah. Are you going to put the thing on the screen there? Yeah, so I thought it'd be a good idea to start off the week with a little positivity and kind of recap last week's favourite Friday wins that we had on the Slack channel. Bit of a quiet week. I'm not surprised considering how it was, to be honest, but I'm sure we'll see some more this week. So Ad, if you could click next. Yeah, so we had this great one from Alistair Walker, splitting up into three there. I think the main there is the Zoom guide that he created for everyone. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone's got one of these by now on here. But if you haven't got one, or you might know someone who might benefit from one, then just ask him for one, or ask Phil Bray for one, I think. I actually sent one of these to my mum the other day because she started to use Zoom. And she said amazing, and she said she couldn't do it without it. So thank you to Alistair and thank you to Phil for that as well. Ad, can you click next? Yeah, a lot of people doing like virtual activities as well last week. So we had this one from Lee doing the weekly poker game. And then the next one as well, we had Tom Morris doing his virtual pub quiz ovation. Because Chris and his guitar and shirt on there as well. I think a lot of people have been doing these pub quizzes. I think I did one on Thursday night and Saturday night. So it's a great way to see all your friends on there as well. Next, Ad. Yeah, and this lovely one from Dan Atkinson last Thursday as well. 13 years at EQ, that's amazing. And we wish him all the best of luck. I think he's going, I can't remember where he's going now. He did say in the Slack channel, but I can't remember where he's going. But good luck there, Dan, anyways. And Matt Aitchison, the most positive man I've ever met. He's just put in a nice little message in there for everyone as well. Matt, you're a great person. It's nice to have you on board. I'll put this one in for Ad as well. I really like the plant pot, Ad. Did you design that yourself?
Thanks. Strangely enough, yes, but I hadn't realised you put that one in there. So that's it. I should have looked at these before we put them on, shouldn't I?
We do, yeah. So Adam's got to get a bit scared now and going into full self-sufficiency. What's he got on there? He's got herbs, rhubarb and strawberries. That's amazing, yeah. So next, please, Ad. And yeah, here and there, just giving us some great feedback on the morning commute. We've got a good bunch of people on here again this morning, and it's nice to see it going well as well. So I think we're gonna push it out tomorrow as well, even further. So hopefully we'll get a few more people on. Then I think my favourite one is the next one. Yeah, Friday win of the week is Ian Richards finding some toilet. Out yesterday and it was fully stocked. Everything in all the shops I went to, there was everything that I needed. So maybe people are stopping panic buying now. But yeah, if we could this week on Friday, just make sure you put every single thing you can think of in there so we've got some good material for next week as well. Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks, Dan. And now it's time to head to Ollie Smith, the magazine editor at New Model Advisor, who is going to give us a day's news.
Good morning, guys. Well, yeah, good to be on here. First thing up on the list is the FTSE. FTSE's opened has dipped off the back of oil going below $20 a barrel. But that's not really big news for us this morning. The big news for us is a story we've got from our reporter, James Fitzgerald. It's all about the regulator. The regulator has sent a reminder email to 1,100 large advice firms, reminding them that they need to pay their on-account fees by April. That's obviously in just a couple of days' time. We got hold of the email last week, and it seemed to have been sent at the back end of last month. So these guys have had quite a few weeks to pay. But in the context of the current pandemic, it does seem to be quite an interesting time for firms who are under regulatory pressure to keep the normal wheels moving, while the FCA itself tries to keep its head above water. It's preparing a sort of contingency planning package of help for smaller advice firms, and we'll know more about that later this week, hopefully. Another thing just to mention of interest is Jupiter has postponed the closure of 2 funds because of the pandemic. Both of them had been performing quite poorly, and it had decided that because of low levels of inflows, high levels of outflows, to get rid of them, but they've now been given a stay of execution because the company says that it's impossible to get a hold on the valuations during the current crisis. And just a final thing for you, the issue, our latest issue of our magazine is now online and ready to read, so do give that a look from your morning news bulletin emails.
Thanks, Ollie. Is there anything else in particular you're looking out for today in the news that might happen, or things that you might think might happen this week?
Well, indeed, there's still quite a lot going around the self-employed and the kind of rollout of HMRC's emergency plans to help people who are running their own businesses. There should be a story coming up on our site in the next couple of hours about how it is handling that situation. From our reporter, Laura Perker. So do keep a lookout for that. It's a very interesting. HMRC, with its sort of struggling budget position, is not actually hiring more people to help with the hotlines, despite an increase in delays with people ringing up to ask for help. I think it's a sort of twas ever thus situation with HMRC, but one to keep an eye on nevertheless if you are a business owner and you're looking to get some help from the revenue.
Cool, thank you. Adam, do you want to introduce Chris?
Oh, go on, why not then? I think you did it on Friday. So, of course, every day around about this time, we have Chris Budd's financial wellbeing thought for the day. And Chris is, as usual, sporting a rather excellent shirt. So, Chris, how's your weekend been?
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Adam. Did the pub quiz, as Tomo showed, which was really good fun. And I just put a comment on there. If you want me to do a next-gen pub quiz, the only thing is the guitar does feature, I'm afraid. There is no option on that with the intros game, but if you want to run a next gen pub quiz, always happy to. So yeah, all good, actually. My son is working in a local fruit and veg store, so 16 years old, is having a very quick lesson about health and safety and hygiene.
Brilliant. Well, look, if you'd like to take away your thought for the day, that'd be absolutely super.
Okay, thank you. So set my 2-minute limit going. So my thought for the day is around financial coaching and self-limiting beliefs. So each of us have a belief system, a value system, which is based around our experiences. We accrue our beliefs and our values from a succession of experiences and how we test out those experiences, which create actions, something called Kolb's cycle of learning. Now, what that results in is a really important statement, which is that our beliefs are not truths. Just because we believe something to be the case doesn't mean that it is the case. Now, this goes for politics, it goes for all sorts of walks of life, but it also happens and works with money. So some of the beliefs around ourselves create our bad habits around money. One example recently from, if I may plug, the Financial Wellbeing podcast, a money coach we interviewed on the last episode tells a story about being abandoned, being lost for about a minute in a supermarket as a kid, led to him having bad feelings about himself, which led to bad money beliefs. And unpacking all of this improved his relationship with money. So helping clients to work out their own self-limiting beliefs is a really big part of financial coaching, leading to financial well-being. So at the financial well-being, the Initiative for Financial Wellbeing, a link for which I've just posted on a comment, we have just launched, literally at 10 o'clock today, we've given the press release to Will and Ollie about a new financial coaching stream of the Initiative for Financial Wellbeing. Catherine Morgan is leading on that. She's going to be on here tomorrow telling you about that and other things. And we're going to be creating training programs and courses so that you can learn how to use financial coaching skills. So I checked this with Alan beforehand, so it's a fair plug. Please come along and have a look at the IFW, maybe even join and get ready to sign up to some financial coaching stuff. Thank you very much. And let's put shirt challenge. Come on, guys. This isn't even very loud. You can do a lot better than this.
Cheers, Chris. Looking forward to seeing what you come up tomorrow shirt-wise. Do you think you can do a different one every day this week?
Yeah, I've got to tell you, I can lift the bar a lot. I just need somebody to challenge me. That's all.
Right. Well, let's see how we end up tomorrow. Yeah. Have we got Steve on the call? Adam, is Steve on the call?
Steve is with us. I think Steve's on his bike at the moment.
I just can't see him. That's all.
Always
hey,
on my
Steve,
bike.
how you doing?
Morning, guys. How are you?
We're good. We're good. So this is the section each day when we turn over the show to our latest guest. And today we've got the man himself in action, Steve Martin on his bike. You are on your bike, aren't you, Steve?
Well, it's called the morning commute, isn't it? So
Exactly.
in theory, this is how it's not in practice how I would commute, but theoretically it would be. And some of our guys would commute on their bike, like Marcus, for example. So I am, in essence, commuting whilst not commuting. I also do need to say that I've got the sorest legs I've had in a very long time, entirely thanks to James Beck sending me a workout to do yesterday. My wife can hardly get out of bed. Children don't want to get up for the day, and I'm going to have to sit here for about an hour and a half to try and get some movement back into them. So James's NHS WOD yesterday was just truly miserable.
Well, James, you've got a lot to answer for. Let's talk about something a bit more prosaic, shall we? A bit more mundane. You did a podcast last week, I think, with Rohan. It was a great podcast.
Thank you.
But I want to talk about a little bit more about the new level 7 CFP, if that's okay with you, Steve.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And do you think the level 7 will be, how widely do you think it will be adopted by the financial planning community?
I hope it's adopted really widely. The fact that it's a level 7, I think, is a little bit of a misnomer. It actually looks to me that it's slightly more straightforward than the level 6 one does. But I don't think anybody needs to hear the great detail around that. But I have believed since I sat my CFP that it was singularly the most important thing that I ever did in my career. It once and for all gave me the tools to deliver on the promises that I was making. And it helped me understand that as long as I could get out of clients what they truly wanted to achieve in their life, I had the wherewithal to then build the models, build the systems, test the theories, test the arguments to see whether that was possible, and use that as a methodology to guide them to change their behaviour if required. So, that's the essence of what we do, and it's the only test, the only exam out there that tests that you can do that, and it's the only qualification that proves that you can do that. So, I've got really, really high hopes for it. I wouldn't be involved with it otherwise, but I would encourage anybody to do it. If you think you've got this whole financial planning stuff sorted, take the exam and prove it.
So it sounds like you're pretty positive about it.
Yeah, it's the same. It was absolutely the singularly most important thing that I've done in my career. It changed me from being an ISA to a financial planner. I'd like to say overnight, but it took me longer than overnight to do it. But in a very, very short space of time, everything that I'd done up until that point suddenly made sense. And everything that I've done since has been based around the work that was involved in that exam. So I couldn't be more supportive of, the importance of that and the influence it's had in my career.
Cheers, Stephen. There's a good comment coming in from Matt there saying he agrees with you. So there's at least one supporter of you, and I'm sure there's plenty others on chat as well. Cheers, Matt. Steve,
Yeah.
Clearly it's an overused phrase now, isn't it, that we're living in unprecedented times. But what do you think will come out of this period positively for the financial planning community?
I think there's lots of things in the financial planning community and wider. Ironically, I've been much more sociable in the last couple of weeks than I would be normally, despite the fact that I'm cut off from the entire world. So you know, the embracing of technology, the embracing of things like Zoom, people bring out their best selves in a crisis, I think. So I think there'll be lots of positive things that I think there's lots of positive things that come from it. But having said that, I think that'll only happen if people accept that they're going to try and need to try and do something different. So it's going to be fun in the Martin House today. We have agreed that we at lunchtime will be setting our coronavirus lockdown family objectives. As you can imagine, the 9 and 13-year-old are frankly cock-a-hoop at this prospect. But I think we will only take advantage of this crisis if we do so intentionally. So we're working on the basis that it will be at least 2 months before there's any sense of normality returning to our life. For those of you that don't know, I'm in Spain and our lockdown is much more forcible than yours are. I can't go for a run, which is why I'm always on this bike. Yeah, it's much more restrictive. So the opportunity to create change and do different or be different, we've actually got to physically do something to make that happen. So whether it's, as we talked about on Friday, you know, whether it's eat some more vegetables or do a little bit more exercise or organize a better sleep routine, or in our businesses, whether this is the chance to improve all our internal processes because we've not got the day-to-day job to do, whether it's to engage better with clients for no great reason, you know, just speak to people more often because we've got less of the day job to do. I really believe it won't happen, you know, unless we've got a plan, an objective, and then a plan, it won't happen. So, you know, I'd very much encourage people, just take the time, have a think about what would you like to achieve? What is this giving you an opportunity to do that otherwise you simply wouldn't be able to do because life would get in the way? And then obviously just break that down into stages, you know. So if it's, I don't know, if it's to learn another language, for example, at a certain level, then a classic thing, if we were having to do it in 3 days, it's not possible. If we've got 3 months to do it, you can probably make a pretty decent stab at it. But your 3 months only starts when you actually start doing something productive. So download the app, plan out how much time you're going to spend on it each day, get yourself a goal, a destination as to by the end of this time I want to be able to be at this level of competence. And that goes for everything. So in our business, we are having a root and branch review of our ops manual and all the dull stuff that goes on behind the scenes so that we can be in the best possible position when we come out the other side. From a training academy point of view, we're going to put on lots of free webinars so that we can help upskills our colleagues so that, you know, when we get back to normal, hopefully people have taken advantage of it. And, you know, I think again, from a health and well-being point of view, all that time that's not required for you to travel is an opportunity to eat better, sleep better, do a bit more exercise, look after yourself better, you know, eventually start listening to Headspace for 10 minutes every morning, you know, whatever those things are that are all built up. If only I had time, if only I had time. Well, now's the time. Make the commitments to yourself. You've got an amazing community here to get accountability. Pick me, pick any of you guys, pick somebody else. Tell them, here's the thing I'm going to achieve in the next 6 weeks or 2 months under lockdown. And then set about doing it. Because the opportunity is enormous, but only if we grasp it.
Fantastic answer, Steve. Thank you very much. And I know lockdown is a bit tougher for you in Spain than it is to us in the UK right now. What's the one thing you're most looking forward to when those restrictions are lifted, whenever that is?
Oh, going for a run. Oh my word. To go outside my front door and put my trainers on and go for a run. I can't wait. It's it's crazy. You know, when you run as much as I've been running 5 or 6 times a week for the last, arguably for years, but certainly consistently for the last 3 or 4 months. I'm desperate to get out running again. So cherish it. Keep your 2 meters away and don't blow snot bubbles at people. Otherwise, they're going to take it. They're going to take it off you. These walkers with their dogs don't seem to like us runners. So, you know, keep away from everybody else and don't do daft things. Don't get in your car and go and drive to somewhere to go for a run, because in the end, the opportunity will be taken away from it. So be sensible and enjoy it, because you have no idea how much I miss it.
Thank you, Steve. That's great advice, especially the snot ball stuff. Right, so Steve, you're going to be around every Friday doing a fitness focus section.
I am, yeah.
On our show on a Friday. And
I've already got my plans ready for you on Friday. It's going to be epic this week. Last week was just a warm up.
I think I'm looking forward to that. Adam, do you want to talk some tech?
Well, yeah, it won't actually be me talking tech, Phil, but this is our new weekly tech segment with Alistair Walker and also Jose Superco, who's joining us from Portugal today in his car, in actual fact. So I can see Jose there. Morning, Jose. And yeah, so our weekly tech slot, Alistair and Jose are going to have a chat today, and then we'll hear about some of the other things that we're going to be doing week after week as we go along. Alistair, over to you.
Morning, Adam. Morning, everybody. Morning, Jose. You're looking very well equipped for somebody in their car, I've got to say.
Yeah, I managed to find a parking space right next to my living rooms so that the Wi-Fi signal is okay. And yeah, it's not very sunny today. It's actually raining. So, but yeah, it's great because I have 2 small children and it's chaotic in my living room. So
makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, I managed to run away to my well, I call it my office. My wife calls it my man cave, but that gives me some some solace. So I thought we might talk a little bit about maybe the elephant in the room, or maybe everybody feels it's been done to death. But we're all suddenly using, particularly video conferencing tech, to communicate with each other, with clients, with family, with friends. And I think would just be worth having a really quick run through some possible tips that I've picked up, maybe some that you've picked up as well, Jose. I got to say, quick shout out to Tom Orchard, who seems to be really hitting the Zoom backgrounds hard. I don't know if anybody's noticed. He did have a moving one of the Aurora just now, so you know that really maybe Tom should be hosting this segment. But I think there are some really simple do's and don'ts. I mean, what's your general usage of video conferencing in normal times, Jose?
Yeah, we use it every single day. It's our main tool to communicate with clients, with partners, with team members. Although we also use Slack, which works quite well between the team to do quick video calls because you don't have to set it up. So that's a new helpful tip. But I think that, for example, finding a great headset is something that made a big difference when I was starting out. Also, obviously, having a good Wi-Fi connection. Even having a physical cable, if you're not sure about your Wi-Fi, makes a huge difference when you have to do an important call with a client, for example. But yeah, it's something that's quite natural for us for a really long time, and yeah, people love it. I just love being here on sitting in Cascais, my hometown, and I'm speaking with you guys in the UK and all over the world. So yeah, I think people will get used to it really quickly, and yeah, that's one of the positive effects of the lockdown, is that a lot of people will be open to this new type of communication.
I think that's a really good point. It'll take a lot of people who maybe have used Skype once or FaceTime a couple of times to try out new things. You hit on something really important, I think, which is we've had quite a lot on the next gen planners Slack about equipment and people worrying about what kind of equipment. So I just had a really quick gather up of the point that I want to make here is basically just about anything will do. So in true Rich Ellis style, I'm flexing the AirPods. Thanks, Rich, for the tip there over the weekend. But I mean that you could just use just about anything, and anything is better than using your laptop speakers and microphones. So I've got maybe not very standard, but I've got a nice little gaming headset there that I use. Just a £10 from Amazon in-ear thing for a phone with a little microphone on the lapel. That's going to make a massive difference. I've got, this is what my desk is like all the time, by the way. I've got a little lapel mic. You could plug a lapel mic in, and look really newsy as well. That would work. But all of these are going to make a huge difference. It's not so much about what you buy, but it's about having something that isn't just the microphone and speakers, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I actually I invested in a Sennheiser headset, and what I love about it is that it's seamless. So if you're on a call on Skype, for example, and your phone rings, you can quickly switch it without doing anything. Everything is the software is really smart. So, and sometimes, if you have an important call, if you have another type of equipment, you fumble around, and you're going through the settings in your computer to see which mic is coming from where. So it's a big mess, and just investing that extra little bit in something a bit better makes a huge difference in my experience.
Yeah, definitely. And I've just had a question from Adam leading into my next point, which is something I hadn't considered about, but I was very lucky to be on a training call with Don Colenso last week, the week before. I've lost a week, so I was quite ill last week. And he recommended getting one of these. Now that was £15 from Amazon, and it is known as a ring light. And
wow,
without it, my little home office here is backlit. So I've got light coming in from either side behind me. And when it's bright, I just look like a silhouette. A few people rocking the silhouette look in the next gen morning commute. So you'll know where I'm coming from. With a little bit of front lighting, it makes a world of difference. And if you're going to spend your whole life talking to people on one of these things, I reckon £15 to beautify me slightly was probably worthwhile.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to invest in one of those.
Adam Caroline's asking, are the cheap ones okay? I mean, that was the cheapest one I could find that was being delivered within a month. So I went and gave it a go, and it seems to work fine. It plugs in on USB. I got all sorts of different color settings, so you can match it to your room or something. I'm not really sure, but it does seem to make a difference. One thing that I think is definitely worth talking about, I think we've got about another 2 minutes, is the real jump in scams. I've certainly seen. I don't know about you, Jose.
I've heard a couple of things, but I haven't had any direct experience. What's that all about?
So the range of how big an effect this might have is huge. Going from just like general misinformation being shared on WhatsApp and Facebook about the current crisis. I'm sure we've all seen some of that. The 4 people in Cork that died because they'd taken ibuprofen turned out to be totally made up. So that's on the one end of the spectrum. But on the other end of the spectrum,
did you see the one on Russia that they, or I think it was Russia, that they released all the lions from the zoos to keep people inside their homes?
No, I didn't. I wish I had. So that you've got that kind of thing on the one end, but on the much more insidious and damaging to our business end, you've got a massive uptick in the kind of emails that in normal environments, when we're sitting in a place we're used to, we're on IT that we're used to, we might not even give a second glance. But I've seen a massive uptick in the classic kind of, you've got a voicemail, you've got a file shared waiting for you somewhere, and particularly while we're all working remotely, vigilance is so important, because clicking. I made a bit of a kicked off a little bit about it, because Voyant were attacked by it about 3 weeks ago and didn't respond very well to it. So when you've got a corporate like Voyant who still don't have that basic security protection in place, it does make you worry. So you really do have to double and triple check everything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Sorry, Jose. Thank you, Alistair. That's great. And I think there's some good advice there for us in the group, and also to pass on to clients as well. I think clients are equally susceptible to scams, even more so than perhaps they would be in normal times. But we're getting close to 9 o'clock, so we'll wrap up in a second. But just to let everyone know that tomorrow we've got a feature-length interview with Rory Percival and Catherine Morgan on to talk about a new financial coaching initiative. Adam, do you want to finish off and close today's episode?
So yeah, so just wanted to thank our guests today and everyone for joining us as always. And just to flag up, on Wednesday, we have the very first of our phone-in style episodes where you get to ask a panel of experts or subject matter guests on the topic of the day. So the topic on Wednesday will be how to manage teams and how to manage clients during the corona crisis. And we've got Ruth Sturkey, we've got Richard Allen, and we've got Will Robbins from New Model Advisor as well. All of whom have been having to do both over the last week or so, and I've got some hints and tips. That'll be hosted by Adam Carolan and Rohan Sivajoti, so the two main men there. And please do send any questions you might have in advance, or indeed come on the day and put your questions to the panel. So we've got loads coming up over the next week, but for now, we'll thank everybody for joining us and close the show there. Have a great day, everybody.